Good morning and welcome to Monday Yoga. Uh, okay, let me see if we have any questions. So this is a spot where I am here most Monday mornings at 11:30 California time. And it's just an opportunity for you to ask any questions. Um, And if you would like to practice a certain pose, you can request that on the chat. If not, I usually have about a 15-minute practice that we can work on together and just get moving for to get the week started with a little bit of yoga. And so today we're going to, unless I have any questions, we'll be working on standing poses. So standing poses are really an incredible foundation for your yoga practice. And if you are able to do a little bit of it every single day, it'll energize your body, it'll bring strength and flexibility. So they're a really, really great component of your yoga practice. If every day is too much, you can, practice them a few times a week, but at least once a week. And so we're going to start with that. Okay, so I'll give a few minutes just to see, or a few seconds, to see if there's any questions. Okay. And so we'll start off with the practice. If you're just starting out a yoga practice, I'll give you some tips on starting to build a really healthy and good foundation so that when you progress in your yoga practice and you start holding poses for longer or having a more just having a practice that starts advancing more, you have those foundational concepts down so that you don't injure yourself, and you can also progress in a healthy way. So we're going to learn this idea of lifting the chest and keeping the tension out of the eyes, the ears, and the throat. So that's such an important foundational concept. And we'll go over a little bit of that today as we practice our sequence of 3 standing poses. So we'll fix this. So props are not required, although sometimes it's nice, depending on the tightness in your body, to have a chair and a block available. But if you don't have these, having a couch where you can hold on to the couch, or a railing, a kitchen counter, all those things work just as great. All right. So if you can, just sit down for a minute on your mat and sit in a comfortable position. And release any tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And take one more breath. Welcome. All right, so today this concept of lifting the chest and removing this tension, and how we use this theme throughout our practice, whatever poses we may be doing. So lifting the chest, the way that we can learn it is like this. Okay. Timer here. Okay, I'm using 4 blocks here. So what I want is a support for my shoulders and a way to keep my head not touching the wall. So I'll show you what that looks like. Here we are. So I have 4 blocks like that. So what I'll be doing here is I'll be laying here with these blocks supporting the shoulders, And I'm going to use my feet on the mat to pull my body into these blocks. So the shoulders are here in contact with the block. The skin of the back of my body is coming down towards the sacrum. And I am keeping my feet on the ground so that I keep that lift of the chest, and then the back of the body sits. If you couldn't see it, I'm just rolling the skin down towards my sacrum. All right, so once I'm here, I keep that contact so my shoulders here aren't coming towards my ears. And I start releasing any tension in the belly, in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And I think of this divine support on my lungs, almost as if I could lift this energetic lift from inside. I could lift the chest here. So if I put both of my hands right underneath my clavicles, I lift the chest so that it doesn't come up towards the ceiling, but it comes towards the wall behind me or towards my head. So it's a lift of the chest without moving the shoulders up. So fingers here, right underneath the collarbones, just the skin there of the back of the body, and then lift. It's an energetic lift. Sometimes I think of it as 2 helium balloons inside your lungs, and these helium balloons are rising towards your head. So here they're not rising towards the ceiling, they're coming towards the head. And I am lifting the chest. So I feel this, this loosening of the gripping in the stomach. Because if I'm holding onto the stomach, I can't lift the chest. So I release the stomach and I lift the chest. And then I breathe here without any tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. So this is a nice little exercise excuse me, plug my computer in. Okay, so it's a nice exercise there that we can do to start learning how to lift the chest. It's very subtle. It's not a very muscular movement. You're not straining to do it. So it's a very subtle release of the tension in the eyes, ears, throat, and then release the belly and lift this chest, skin of the back going down. So when you lay down, you get to see, you get that feeling on your body, that information, instead of just going intellectually, it goes, experientially in your body, and you remember the feeling of what it feels like to have this lift happen without adding tension in the eyes, ears, and throat. So it's a nice idea to practice laying down and to start disconnecting all of the pieces. There's a saying that says, your body comes to yoga and it's in one big solid lump. And in yoga, we start breaking it down into thousands of pieces so that you have access to all of those pieces. And the mind comes to yoga in 1,000 pieces, and we bring it back together into one strong mind. And so we start by releasing tension in the eyes, ears, and throat, and this process starts. All right, so standing poses. Here we go. So I will keep 2 blocks here, and I will add a little bit of height here. All right. So we're going to start out with a sequence of 3 standing poses, and these are, it's a foundational sequence. It's used, you can use these poses every single day and progress from beginner to very advanced. So they're really powerful poses. So we're going to start out with the first pose in this sequence, and it's called Trikonasana. So I'm going to sit on the mat like this, and I'm going to get 2 markers. So I'm going to put the first marker right at my sit bones here. And I'm going to measure the length of my leg plus a foot. So I bring the foot down here, and I place my second marker here. So from the edge of my mat to about this point is the distance that I'm going to keep my feet apart. Of course, if this is too difficult, if there's too much tightness, you can bring the legs closer, but it's a good guide to have. All right, so now that I remove the blocks, I stand up for the pose. So I have my legs in this position. And one more thing that I'll say about aligning the legs. If we sit down here and we bring the feet together, you'll notice that my hips are a bit tight. So my knees are not touching the floor yet. So if I could, bring my knees all the way down to the floor, I would line it up. It's going to affect the way that I line up my pose. So if I am sitting like this, then I'm going to bring my feet to the distance that we determined. If I had a line drawn on the table, on the mat, sorry, if my knees are lifting away from the floor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my heel with my heel. So heel lines up with heel. I turn the right foot forward, left foot back a little, and this is how I would practice this pose. If when I sit down in this pose, my knees come all the way to the ground, then in this case, I back foot to the heel of the front foot. So I'm in the pose. The heel lines up with the arch of the back foot. All right. So here we go. We are lined up, our feet are lined up, and now we come down and using the block here, I come down into Trikonasana. So really pressing the back foot into the mat and then lifting the chest the same way that we did with the blocks here. And we breathe here for a few minutes. So we'll start getting some strength in the neck, because just to keep the neck up, we're strengthening the neck, the torso, lifting the chest, and then make the back foot very heavy. Press it down and come up. And then both feet forward, feet together. And then we're ready for the second side. So same thing, I'm lining up heel to heel and make the back leg very tight, lift the chest and come up, come down to the pose. So here, if you're just starting out, what you want to think about is my legs are the foundation for the pose. So we're gonna keep these legs very, very straight. So even if you can't come all the way down, if this makes the pose get a little bit distorted, we use a chair, we use a couch over here or a counter, but don't bend the legs. Keep the legs very, very straight. So press the back foot into the mat, lift the chest. And after a few breaths, make the back leg very heavy. Inhale and come up. Okay, and then I'll show you with a chair, or if you had a countertop or something, what that would look like. So if you have a chair here, it's better to practice like this than to go all the way down and then have all kinds of different distortions happen or pain. So if I'm going to my first side, I make the legs very heavy and the legs very straight. I inhale and I come down and I just rest on the chair. If your neck hurts, you can put a bolster or a blanket here and you can rest your head on the chair like this until slowly you get a lot of strength in the neck and you can keep it up for longer. So definitely okay to have the support, as long as the support is behind your legs so that you're not bringing the hand in front of the leg here, you're bringing it behind. Okay, make the back leg heavy and come out. And if you have a wall, you can also lean on the wall here. So you can use the wall and you can, right, make the back leg very heavy. So that dig that heel into the mat. Inhale, lift the chest, and you can use the wall. So if you had a counter, a kitchen countertop or a table, you can definitely use that table and hold on. And just work on the legs, on making the legs heavy, on lifting the arches of the feet. And then inhale and come up. So that is Trikonasana. Okay, second pose in the sequence, Parsvakonasana. So this one, we'll use a chair too, but later. This pose, we don't need to worry about the length in between the feet. It's just kind of a geometrical pose where it just informs itself. So we bring the legs apart. If there's a lot of tightness, you can bring them closer together. So we're going to always start with the right foot. So right foot turns out first, and you're going to start bending the right knee. Keep the back leg very straight. So if the back leg starts bending, come up. So if this is what you're comfortable with today, that's as far as you go. Just build the strength here and breathe and lift the chest like we looked at in the beginning. And then start bringing the knee down, making sure that the knee never comes in front of the ankle. So, we never bring that knee over the ankle. It stays lined up like this. And you want to come down until this bone is pretty much horizontal with the floor, and you can lay down on the leg. So, but it's definitely okay to just work here, build that strength, and slowly come down. So then straighten the legs, right foot forward. So it's a nice idea to always come out like this so you don't get injured. And then come to the center. Second side. So legs out, left foot, right foot, turn the right foot in. So injuries usually happen while coming into the pose and while coming out. So very important to turn both feet forward and come out in that way. Okay, so here we're going to just start bending the front leg, and we increase the distance so that this knee doesn't come forward of the ankle. And here we bring our prop and the hand goes in front of the leg here. So if this is really tight and it's just not working, then we use a chair. So I'll show you how to do that. And the chair is great for developing flexibility and strength. So it's an awesome prop. So we'll get the chair out. It doesn't have to be one of these chairs. What you want to look for in a chair, even if you have a wooden dinner chair, that's fine. And it's mainly horizontal. So, if your chair, it's like this, or the cushion is too soft that the chair is slanting down. If it's a cushion, is fine, as long as it's not slanting. So if it's mostly horizontal and a sturdy chair, then it'll work. Okay, so we bring the chair up like this. So we're going to get into this chair very carefully. So I want to sit like this, facing the backrest of the chair. So sometimes even this is really, it can be very hard on the inner thighs here. So being very careful that you're having, this is comfortable and you're not straining the inner thighs, because you don't want to pull that. So take a few breaths here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that same pose, the second pose of our standing sequence, using the chair. So I'm going to start sliding down the chair, and I'm going to have my right foot forward first. So notice I'm just keeping the back leg here, just working on that flexibility, opening the inner thigh. And I'm going to make sure that my thigh is touching the side of the chair. So I'm going to turn it around so that you can see better. Okay, so I sit here on the chair, I slide back, and the tips are make sure that your calf is touching the edge of the chair and that your thigh is parallel, it's on the same line as the edge of the seat. So what starts happening is starts scooching and falling off the side like this, so make sure that that doesn't happen. Keep this in line with the thigh and the calf touching the edge of the chair. Okay, then we're going to hold on to the backrest and start straightening the back leg. So that may take a few breaths, right, and a few tries, but we don't do that by removing the sit bone from the chair here. So it works best if you have a wall. So I'm going to bring that back leg by a wall, and I'm going to really press the back foot into the wall. And I'm going to hook my elbow on the inside of my knee there, and then hold the chair and really work. So, this leg can be here, it can slowly come there, and sometimes, there's cramping that happens, but it's all starting to open that, leg and give some flexibility and strength there. So here we have it. We can use the back of the chair to help twist. So there we have Parsva Konasana on the chair. Really opening the side here of the body, the legs. When you're ready to come up, stand on your chair. If you don't have access to a chair, you can go ahead and do this pose without the chair. So here we have that same idea, keeping the sit bone on the chair, calf connected to the chair, to the side of the chair. And then we hook the elbow to the inner knee here, grab onto the side of the chair, and then we start bringing this leg back. Better if it's against a wall, but if not, it's okay. And then straighten the back leg. Be careful not to bring the sit bones out of the chair here. Okay, and once you do this a few times, then you can start lifting the back leg and keeping it extended and lifted. All right, so come to the middle, take a few breaths here, and then come out. So that was the second pose of our 3-pose standing sequence. All right, and the last pose that we'll do is Ardha Chandrasana in its half moon pose. So it's nice to have a block or a chair here for your hands. So we'll do both. And this is a balancing pose. So it's nice to have a wall behind you to start out with, but it really will build strength in the inner thighs and the legs and the core. So it's a really great pose to do. And it's great for the feet because you're really working on that balance on your feet. So we come over to just like the first pose, like a Trikonasana position, but we bend the front knee and we bring the leg up. So we might want to do, so we don't bring the foot up to come up, we just lift. So we might want to lift a few times. Okay, and it's 100% okay to lift that foot and place it up on a countertop or on top of the backrest of your couch. Definitely a great way to get that leg stronger and stable so that you can do this pose. So if you have that, I would use it. I certainly did. So here we are. So Ardha Chandrasana, it's nice to have a chair here for support and the wall behind you for support. So then eventually you work away from the wall. But for now, we'll use the wall. Really make this back leg here work super hard. So this leg is very straight and I'm pointing through the heel, making my bone longer and longer and longer and longer and lifting the chest. And then this leg, I don't have any micro bends in that knee. knee straight. Lift the arches and Ardha Chandrasana. Right? Eventually, you can bring this hand down, but resting on the chair is just as nice. And then when you're ready, bend the front knee. This is very important how to come out. So bend the front knee and then step back and come up. Right? And then both feet forward. So sometimes there's a tendency of bringing the leg, of bringing this leg here down. Refrain from doing that. That'll really hurt your hips. So always come down this way. Okay? So now we'll repeat inside. Chair here. I have my wall. I can show you with the wall for support for the leg back there. So coming up, using the wall to support that leg, push the wall away. Just really push that wall away with the heel. Ardha Chandrasana, eventually bring the arm up, so push the wall away, making this leg very active, kind of like the brain of the pose. So push the wall, and then soften the belly. And once you have this shape down and that it's starting a little bit more familiar with it, then we can incorporate that theme in the beginning of the video where we were lifting the chest. Okay, bend the knees. Come down. Okay. And this was the third post, that sequence. It's a great idea to go into a downward dog or a supported forward bend here where you're resting your head, making sure that that skin of the forehead is coming down towards the nose, resting the forehead here on the block. Releasing the eyes, the ears, and the throat, the belly. Okay, I'm coming down, and that's all for today. Those three poses can be incorporated in the beginning of your pose or in the middle, of your practice, or in the middle, or just by itself as a little re-energizing sequence to get you going throughout the day, getting the limbs moving. It's a really great sequence to practice. So I hope that you enjoyed it. And I will see you in the next video, and I'm going to check if there's any questions. Okay, thank you for your comments. And I will put on the cards here if you want to take a look at more information on these standing poses. They'll be on the cards at the end of the video. And I will link some more below as well. Thank you.